Massachusetts Governor Charlie Baker last week sent 4 recommendations from his hate crimes task force to police chiefs and encouraged law enforcement to adopt them immediately. Western Massachusetts hasn't been immune to acts of hate, for instance, on college campuses or religious institutions. But the leaders of the Florence-based organization Human in Common hope to teach people to stop racism before it starts. I asked Nialena and Deborah Cohen their perspective on the spike in reports of hate crimes this year.
I think when you have an administration, as we have now, that has been greatly supported by the alt-right and that has given nods to hate groups and is being supported by hate groups and is not speaking out strongly against it, it basically sends the green light message that this kind of behavior is okay. And that's certainly how they're interpreting it. If you look at the alt-right and the hate groups who still are allowed to have websites up in some cases, they're basically saying that they feel supported by President Trump and his administration.
And some of those groups would say that that's their right under their First Amendment to have those websites or YouTube platforms or things like that. Nialena, I know that in the past you've worked on college campuses and we've seen incidents reported on college campuses of hate crime lately. Why do you think we're seeing them now?
I think that we're seeing an increase in not only hate crimes but also the reporting, as you said. But I think that we mustn't forget that it's really the continuation of something, and there's a unspoken, something we're not talking about as far as the history of this country.
What
there's
is
already
that thing
been
that we're not talking about?
Getting to the deeper roots of it. So when we think about, again, the history of this country, and we think of genocide and hundreds of years of slavery, and then decades of Jim Crow, and then where we're at now, we were actually only a few years post-civil rights out of that. But there's a continuation, and these hate crimes are really following within that tradition. And so I think that to try to interrupt that or stop that and have safer communities, we really have to go back and think a little bit more about this history and how we've been socialized to interact with one another. And so once we get further into that, then we'll be able to move forward and just having a little bit more of education and awareness around these issues.
And so in Human in Common, which is an organization that you founded this year in January, relatively new organization right here in Florence, when Human in Common holds its trainings, is that part of what you're teaching people?
Absolutely. So our module is rooted in active bystander intervention training, giving people tools to effectively and respectfully respond to harassment and bias and discrimination. But we do go a little bit deeper. We do definitely, it's not your typical diversity training. We go deeper, providing that information, that education, and giving context as to why we have these issues and how we can better solve and address them.
What do you think providing people that deeper context, as Nia said, that deeper context affords people?
Well, for example, some people don't even realize that there's no scientific basis for race. There are some people who still believe that there are these different races. Race is only real because we've made it real. It's a social construct. It's not a biological construct. And so just even getting that information is life-changing for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And so we take people through the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion to help them see the history of racism in this country and to understand that in order to change it, it's not enough to say, well, I'm not racist. You actually have to be anti-racist, because by not trying to interrupt the racism that's part of the fabric of this country, it allows it to continue. So we teach people strategies of how they can engage with that in their everyday lives, in their personal interactions, in their work, in their communities, and we teach people to do it in a way that's respectful, that calls people in rather than always calling people out, so that people can learn strategies for changing their behaviors in meaningful ways.
2 things. Oh, go ahead.
I'd also just like to add, and the skills that we teach aren't only for interrupting racism, but it's also for other forms of discrimination and bias, and thinking of other groups of people who are being targeted for hate crimes, whether that's homophobia, Islamophobia, or violence against women and sexual harassment. But the skills and tools that we teach really do apply to a variety of contexts.
Mm. We've had a lot of men speak to us about wanting to be an ally in the Me Too movement, and a lot of men have admitted that they've been in situations where they've seen other men making inappropriate jokes about women or harassing women or trying to get women drunk to take advantage of women, and they don't know what to do. And so
sorry, go ahead. But what's one tip that you then give them? Because some people can look at this in 2 ways, right? Mm-hmm. Not my business. so I'm going to stay out of it. Or getting involved might get me hurt or, ensnared in something that I don't want to be involved in. So what's one tip that you would give a man in that situation to help them redirect the conversation?
So we teach the 6 Ds. So we teach people they can either have a direct conversation with the person doing the harm, they can have a direct conversation with the person who's being targeted to offer to be an ally, they can create some type of distraction just to try to interrupt the situation, they can delegate by getting other people involved and getting other people to help out, they can delay, maybe wait a little bit until help comes along or until they have more information or a better position to help, and they can document what's happening. They can provide information and be a witness to the person who's been targeted.
Something that jumped out to me on your website, Human in Common, I want to read it here. Each incident takes a heavy toll on mental and physical well-being of the victims and can have long-term consequences for the organizations involved. And you're talking about instances of bias or harassment, but in what way?
People aren't remaining quiet anymore. They're speaking out, and it can be very expensive for employers. It can hurt their reputation. It can take everybody offline of doing the work of the organization to be dealing now with the wake of the trauma that's been created. It's very stressful. It causes a lot of anxiety for people to go to work when they're facing harassment. I mean, look, when people go to work, nobody wants to deal with harassment. People just want to do their jobs. And it's very stressful for everybody involved. It's stressful for the witnesses and the other bystanders when people just don't know what to do. And so people leave our trainings feeling really invigorated, feeling motivated and confident because we give them real-world scenarios, we give them real tools, we let them try it out in small groups, we put everybody on a team with each other so they're not doing it alone. So when people leave our trainings, they know what to do. And this is why Forbes, Harvard Business Review, and the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission are saying that active bystander training is the most effective way of preventing harassment and discrimination in the workplace. They're finding that the typical diversity trainings just don't work.